Going off track is.
Going off track is taking a chance on yourself.
Following your pulse of curiosity.
It's making your own decisions.
The most wonderful adventure.
Welcome back to Right Off Track, the podcast where we explore the remarkable journeys of individuals who've dared to venture off the beaten path. I'm your host, Anya Smith, and today we have a guest whose stories embodies the twists and turns of true entrepreneurship, Konstantinos Sinodinos. Konstantinos initially made a name for himself in the corporate world, working as a marketing manager for iconic brands like Duracell and Johnnie Walker. Fueled by a desire for more, he pivoted into entrepreneurship and founded the sports talent promotion platform ChampionsID.com. Even snagged the Greek Entrepreneurship Award twice. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. After the initial success of ChampionsID.com, Konstantinos hit a rough patch, struggling with monetization and dwindling engagement. Instead of giving up, he took these hard lessons and pivoted once more, founding Simply Digital, a leading digital marketing company. It's this blend of corporate savvy and resilient entrepreneurship that we can't wait to unpack today. You might also know Konstantinos from his impressive social media work, with impressive stats like 2.1 million followers on TikTok and 443,000 followers on Instagram. Yet beyond the numbers, he's someone who places immense value on mental health, considering it a foundational element for his entrepreneurial journey. In this episode, we'll delve into Konstantinos' belief of being a permanent student, the crucial role of habit forming for productivity, and his life motto, dream like a kid, do it like a champion. So whether you're here to be inspired, intrigued, or just entertained, there's something for everyone as we journey through the highs and lows of entrepreneurial life well lived. Get ready for an extraordinary journey that might just spark your own inner fire. Welcome, Konstantinos.
Hello, Anya. Nice to see you and to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Such a pleasure. I want to just do a shout out for Tim Beeler, who connected us. Thank you so much. And his episode also came out recently. So if you are into strategies and social media, check it out. And also, if I could just do one more shout out, my friend Earl Talbot was the one actually sent me your first Instagram post. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy has it figured out. You make it look so easy on social, just the bravado, the confidence, the cool tips, and you keep it coming. I was like, it's not just one helpful video. It's just endless helpful videos that you just keep producing. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your wisdom with our podcast audience today.
My pleasure always. My pleasure.
There you go. And then I mentioned your motto in the description a little bit earlier. So if you don't mind us starting from there, I found somewhere, and maybe this is wrong, so let me know about my prep here. I saw that you mentioned the motto of dream like a kid, do it like a champion. I'm curious, how did that come? Is that A, factual? And B, how did that come about?
It's actual, and I'm really intrigued that you found out about that. I don't really share about that a lot because it's a project underway with that name.
Okay.
So, but yeah, it's a life motto for me, and something that haven't really talked about a lot, and comes from my own background, but also the work that I've done with myself, and the realization that if you really bring together two powerful forces, which is the traits of elite athletes, that comes from my athletic background and my years of being an athlete and working, daily towards a specific goal. Because I was in the national team of karate, for people that don't know, for many years. So I've been in the steps of a semi-professional athlete for many years that struggles to achieve something. And through my work in personal development, with therapy, with NLP seminars, and other stuff that I've done in that front, I've realized that, if you combine the unlimited imagination and the zero limits in your, in the goals that you can visualize like a kid does, when, the mind of a kid is totally, there's nothing, there's no box yet framed in their mind, right? So there's no limit, no don't in their mind before, the whole thing, the whole system, the whole social culture, the educational system starts creating those boxes and the don'ts. So if you combine those two forces, the traits of the elite athletes with the unlimited imagination of a kid, I believe that, great things can happen. That's why it's a great motto for me, and that's something that, I really try to walk also in my daily life.
I love that. It's amazing. You know, it's funny you mentioned that. I have two really young ones. I have a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And yesterday I was having a harder day from like, the stress of like, can I do this? What am I doing with my life? Is it meaningful? And then my 4-year-old was creating a boat on my bed. He like made this imaginary boat, and he was really excited. And he was going fishing with of course, a phone charger, right? He's like twisting the phone charger around, and it's those moments, like you said, the kids have this wild imagination. They're not worried about all the
Yeah,
successes and things like that. They're
it's
just
so
enjoying
nice. It's so
life.
beautiful, and it's so raw, and it's so powerful. If you really can really observe them and still borrow, things from them,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really useful because I think we're lacking that ability. The more we grow, and the
Mhm.
more we blend in situations that we shouldn't, and that's why we need to keep this kind of romantic aspect of our head alive.
Absolutely. I love that you focus on this kind of observation. And just to tie that natural connection into entrepreneurship, like why is that important to have like this unlimiting maybe perspective and like this child view on it too?
Because that's what entrepreneurship is all about. Is something is a journey without limits, and that's what I love about it. Is that there's no ceiling, there's no I cannot go there, or I can there's an ending in a specific destination. Like most of the career paths in the corporate ladder are look like. So you can go up to this level, or you can achieve up to this, or you can get up to that money. There's no limit in entrepreneurship, downwards and upwards, right? So that's what I love, and that's why I believe that if you have an unlimited imagination and
Yeah,
an unlimited belief in yourself and the things you can do and the impact you can create for others,
yeah.
amazing things can happen.
Absolutely. And you mentioned this, so let's drop on this. I was actually really curious. So you were doing really well in the corporate world. You mentioned you worked with big brands. And then what did it feel like to have that point of like, hey, I want to be doing something different? I know for me, a little bit ago, I was working at Meta and I had this feeling I could be doing more. Like, on paper, everything looked good, but I had the sense like I just don't feel really fulfilled. I'm grateful for everything. So curious, like, what was that feeling? Or maybe for you, it was something different that drew you to say, I'm going to pivot.
Well, I wasn't me. That's always the case for me. In any situation that I am present, I'm asking myself, is it something that, I can really see Konstantinos fitting in? Do I feel like myself? Do I pretend that, I like this situation or not? So after, a decade in those companies, I'm really grateful about the things that I got there and the positions that I got, which were amazing. And I have some amazing experience from that. And also, they helped me structure myself as a professional a lot. But at some point of time, it was not me. It was my creativity being held captive in a way. I couldn't really do all the things that I wanted to do in my head. And I had
Right.
this kind of, like you have a small thing here, a mosquito bite, and you want to, to scratch it. I was feeling this urge as well. I wanted to
Right.
scratch that
Right.
mosquito bite, which was the creativity that didn't go out as much as I
Right.
wanted. Had new ideas. I wanted to explore the startup reality, the digital
Yeah.
marketing space, and that's how I said, okay, it's now or never. It's almost 8, 9 years ago, and I'm really grateful that I did it. It's not an easy step. It's not for everybody. I'm
Right.
always saying that, but for me, it was a calling that I had to hear and listen, and that's why I'm here.
I think we are so grateful that you scratched that that
That
mosquito
mosquito
bite.
was. I don't really like
A big one.
mosquitoes, but this one played a good role.
I love that. And could you, I know when I was starting, or actually before, so I was like, how the heck do you start? I had the sense like, you have to be doing like building rocket ships or curing cancer to like have that kind of brain to be like, okay, this is worthwhile starting on my own. But what do I have to offer? What was that real life like starting? What honestly gave me comfort is talking to people and realize like they didn't have their shit all together. They were like, I'm just going to solve this problem and we're going to grow and figure it out. Maybe you had it more put together, but curious, what was that like for you?
I didn't have it figured out. I was far from that. I just had an idea. I had an idea about bridging my sports passion with business and finding a way to help more athletes, because I had a struggle as an athlete, and I wanted to address this kind of struggle of no visibility, no ability to raise money for my next tournament or whatever. Because in sports, apart from the 0.1% of people that are really paid well, everybody else is super, they're really struggling in terms of making it and even covering the basics of their expenses. So I wanted to find a platform that can really help athletes, do more visibility, more opportunities, etc. So that was Champions ID. That was the idea. It had a great welcoming from people. We really started very strong. But then, the monetization system didn't work very well, because when you're trying to create something new and you don't have your business model set up really solid day one, it can really burn you out, and it can really eliminate all the chances you have to make this work in the long run. So we got a couple of entrepreneurship awards here in Greece. We got funded by the US Department of State back in 2016. But we ran out of money a couple of years later. And it was, for me, a decision to either quit and go back or try to do something else. Pivot the current idea, do something else, whatever. So, yeah, that's how it started. Totally different from what I'm doing right now. But that was the initial idea that I was forming while I was working in my last corporate job. But I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. So I just jumped from a hill, hoping that I will, create a parachute to my way down in a way.
Honestly, that gives, I think, me hope. Maybe, hopefully, our listeners hope too, that it's, people that make great things aren't people who necessarily have it all figured out when they start, right? It's very much a learning journey. And I like that what you said about, you didn't give up. You had the opportunity to say, well, now I've done this, I can go back. Why did you decide to continue on this path after that setback?
Because for me, defeat is not an option. So that's my mindset. I cannot really accept losing, accept going back to a previous situation. So it was all only forward for me. And I was like, okay, I have a couple of years trying to make this work, right? I got a lot of that out of that. New network, new ideas, new knowledge, a better understanding of the digital marketing universe, the startup world, so new knowledge. I can really bridge that with my corporate background and my structured marketing experience, and maybe help some businesses do the early stuff, launch their startup, bring their idea to life, run some ads, help them with the strategy and the design. So I was like, okay, maybe I should start an agency or become a consultant or do something within my network, right? That was the low-hanging fruit for me. So literally overnight, I created Simply Digital. That was the outcome of my, my quiz in my head of what's next. So that was the answer in my head. I sit with a friend of mine. I remember that very vividly. It was pretty much this kind of period, because that's a period that most of the times I make decisions for my career. It's September, October, normally, after summer vacay. So I created Simply Digital. We had an idea back then to create something like a Fiverr for the Greek ecosystem, the Greek entrepreneurship ecosystem. We launched it. We announced it on LinkedIn and on social media. Next day, I had my first 2 clients.
Whoa. That's amazing.
Because people knew me, and people were like, oh, this guy can probably help me with this. Let's talk, right? So that's why your network is always the first option to do whatever you want to do business-wise. Try to explore whatever is, ready for you there, waiting.
And if you don't mind me adding to this story, just a little context, at least this is what I read, and I could be wrong, but I think there's mentioned that in your family, there wasn't a lot of entrepreneurial spirit, right? So how did you form this network, or maybe this foundation of people or resources that helped you, build confidence along the way? I know lovingly my family supports me, but they don't care what I do. Oh my gosh, you have who on your podcast? That's nice, Anya. So I'm curious, where did you draw that entrepreneurial strength? Was it from other resources? Was it, again, that network that you cultivated?
Well, I have no clue, to be honest, because my parents are really not into the entrepreneurial kind of spirit. So both of them were my father was in the Greek National Bank for many years. My mother was a multinational corporate employee for many years. So they were both in my business, in the business ecosystem, but not in the entrepreneurial kind of thinking. So I think that for me it was the origins come from my music background. So the first thing that I did as a kid was playing the piano. I loved music. I loved music.
Of course, you play piano too.
Yeah. So I did that when I was 5 until I was 18. So 12, 13 years I was playing the piano. I loved music. I loved piano. And I believe that my creativity and this kind of, that was the reason why new boxes in my head opened because of music. So in combination with the business background and my knowledge in the marketing sector, maybe this is what led me there. And I'm a person that I cannot really stay still. I cannot really, I hate not being able to evolve. I hate seeing myself in the same position for way too long. I love progress. I love ideas. I love creativity. So entrepreneurship was for me the obvious choice.
And we're so grateful that you took this journey. And you mentioned now, like we took this learning, we had this network, we pivoted. What did you try to do differently? So from now going to Simply Digital, fresh start, fresh perspective. Like, were there core things like, hey, I know I'm going to do X, Y, Z differently, right, to give it a better shot?
Well, I comparing to Champions ID, you mean? Yeah. So Champions ID was a big dream, mostly. It was like trying to invent the next Twitter or the next Facebook or the next LinkedIn, in a way. That was the goal. So a new startup trying to build a new habit to people, that's very difficult.
Right.
What I did with Simply Digital is go after specific needs that already exist, and people know that the service that you communicated can help them do it. So very clear communication, very specific stuff. And I was, going after the money at this point, right? I was going after providing value, first of all, but also to get some money, because I knew about I was really confident about my skills, about my experience in marketing. And I knew that this was worth something in the marketplace. So I went after specific things that I knew that people would be willing to pay. As clear as that. While on Champions ID, I was going after building an audience, making an impact, changing an entire industry in a way, hoping to change an entire industry. So it was a very, very different aspiration, different kind of logic of a business model. That was very clear cut towards, selling a service, and that's it.
And I'm sure that there's also still like a purpose. Like, obviously you're helping people right now, but what is the purpose that's driving you? Or is that kind of an evolving motivation now? Because I think every step of the way we're complex. Like I said, we're learning, we're evolving, growing. Is there a current motivation or kind of purpose you're
Absolutely. My motivation is really constantly changing. It's like, I haven't really figured it out yet, but I'm always motivated because I always have a different goal that I'm chasing in my head. So it's not about the money anymore. I don't really care about, hitting the numbers. And this is not motivating me anymore, really. But the impact that I create and I see that I can create is what really motivates me, because this year, after, the big numbers on social media and after the pandemic, with all the difficulties that we had, of seeing other people face to face, etc., I had the chance to meet people, be present in physical events, be the speaker in them, meet people, see the impact that I have created through social media. And that was really an amazing feeling that I want to keep growing and keep creating. And that's why my focus is on how to be more impactful, how to help more people, how to be more valuable, how to create more valuable products, how to create better content, how to teach more people to create more better content, and quit the rat race or whatever they want to quit, and feel free, like I feel, to do the things that we love. For me, that's the greatest motivation. And surprisingly, when you do that, more money comes as well.
Right. I think you also put somewhere that you don't want like to be considered a guru, or like you don't like the term guru in this space in general, that we're all learning, especially in this space where everything is moving so quickly. Right? Like there's no really like, when the threads came out, like there are people already selling threads course. I'm a mastermind on threads. So day one.
Yeah.
Like, no, everything just came out. How can you be a mastermind already? But you, respectfully to everybody who sees you or could be like, oh, easily, yeah, Constantinos is obviously a guru, but you have this mindset, like, which to me resembles just that curiosity, always learning and being humble at the same time. Then clearly to me, that shows that mission is not just about like, oh, money and fame, but really the purpose, because you're being true to that.
Yeah. First of all, I hate the term guru. I don't believe that there is something like that in the world, in anything. There are more experienced students than others, people that have dedicated themselves in really deep diving in a specific topic, learning about that, evolving in that, reinventing that by themselves, right? Because we have this kind of mission when we enter an industry. We need not just to be part of the industry and play the game. We need, after a while, we have the role of reinventing that, on bringing new ideas, on changing the framework, changing whatever was happening before we enter the game. That's what I love doing, and that's what I believe I did with digital marketing as well. I reinvented many of the things that people were believing it was scam, was boring, it was a magic tactic or whatever. Many misconceptions about this industry, and I believe that I played the role in reinventing this kind of industry, make it more simple to people, more digestible, and making them see a way to use their phone in a productive way rather than just consuming content passively. Absolutely. So for me, that's the only thing that makes you somebody who plays a bigger role in an industry, being able to become the synonym of this industry at some point, and reinventing that, bringing new ideas and making things better than before.
You're amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to your audience. Thank you for listening. I'm sure you found something useful in here. I hope you draw inspiration that you can take on your own path wherever you are at. You can do incredible things. You don't have to be stuck where you're at. There's an incredible adventure that awaits you. And I hope and sincerely advise that you reach out to Konstantinos' channel, follow it, and find a lot of great tips there along the way. And as always, thank you so much for coming right off track with us. And thank you, Konstantinos, for joining us today. It's such a pleasure.
My pleasure, Anya. Nice to meet you.
Going off track is
taking a chance on yourself.
Following your pulse of curiosity.
It's making your own decisions.
The most wonderful adventure.